And I think we are managing to go live. Yay. Mercury retrograde, the fun never stops. With Mercury retrogrades. So everybody, I hope that you are joining us here at onenesstalkradio.com live, or Oneness Talk Radio Facebook, Oneness Talk Radio YouTube. And if you're not, thank goodness we're recording this, and it will be uploaded to, or am I recording this? Now I'm recording this. So just to make sure it is uploaded live. But I do believe we're about to stream live on YouTube and Facebook here in a second anyway. So I don't have the means to be in the chat with you all today, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, but I am feeling you in spirit, and I am wishing you all the love and joy out there today for sure. It is a Mercury retrograde challenge day, and we're not even there yet. That's like the 29th. But we're in that pre-phase. So, and Janine is my guest today, and she is going to talk all about her fabulous book and her journey in life. But before we begin there, I just wanted to, we'll do our 3 Ave Saw breaths, and then I'm going to speak to a little bit about the numerology, take care of all of our left brain things that go on in the world, and that we're taking part in throughout with Global Minga, Oneness Talk Radio, Yoga of Self-Ascension, so much going on. So before we begin, let us do our 3 Ave Saw breaths. And for those of you who are not aware of what Ave Saw is, it's a breathing technique in through your nose, out through your mouth. And as you inhale in your nose, you think Ave, which is hail. It's Latin for hail. Hail to the divine, hail to the divine spark inside of you. And then the saw at the end is an audible saw that is like a release and a surrender to the moment and to the energies at hand. So we'll do the 3 deep Ave Saw breaths. And again, think Ave on the inhale and have that saw on the end, just to release it all, right? So here we go. Ave Saw. Ave. Ave. Saw. Thank you for all coming into this beautiful container with us here today as we co-create this magical, powerful hour together. But before we do that, let's dive into a few left brain things that just need to be taken care of. We have so much going on this month. The solstice is on the 21st, and that is actually going to be the last day of our 17-day Global Minga Challenge for Consciousness. And for those of you who are part of the Global Minga, over at the Facebook group, you see us there every morning at 10 a.m. and we're doing a challenged countdown. So every day, myself and a group of ladies get on the Global Minga Renaissance Ascension Facebook group. It's a public group, so you can all go there and you can watch as we explore peace. This time around, our challenges are through peace, love, and joy, and the experience, the awareness, experience, choice, and being in all those states. So it is a wonderful and then we have challenges afterwards. So we challenge all of our listeners to go out and do something with regards to, so today is our first day celebrating joy. And I was talking about the experience of joy and finding a sentence stem that fills you with your I am presence joy, as opposed to any egoic joy. So after you've gone out and done dancing and enjoy whatever it is that brings that envelope or that warm snuggie of enjoyment, of joy to you, after you've done that, so dance your heart out, dance like everyone's watching, and then go and sit with this sentence stem, which is, I am joyful because, all capitals. So the I am presence is joyful because. And just sit with that and see what comes up. And so we're doing that on the Global Minga every morning. So all of these challenges. So join us there for sure. Also on the 23rd is the new moon, and I will be holding my regular new moon circle on that date. So if you are wanting to join in, please just send me an email at waterloveandlight@gmail.com. And oh my goodness, what else? Oh, how could I forget? It's the New Year's celebration with Shri and Kira. They have a huge New Year's celebration every year. They're streaming parts of it live this year. And if you want to be included in that live stream, just send a little quick, I want to take part at their website, shriandkira.com, and they will be able to get you signed up for the Zoom link for that. So I think that is all my many left brain things to do today. Oh no, I have one more thing. We are, as Global Minga, Oneness Talk Radio and Yoga as Self-Ascension, many of us are all within those communities, and we are coming together and we are trying to put together a book very similar to the kind of Chicken Soup for the Soul books, but it's kind of going to be like Global Minga for the soul, or Yoga as Self-Ascension for the soul. So all of our stories of miracles, of any poetry that you've felt called to write while you're on your journey, any art that you have taken, drawn while you're on your journey, just we would love for you to send that in, and we're going to compile it into a book that is then going to be used as a fundraiser for Global Minga. And again, if you want to know more about what Global Minga is, please go to shriandkira.com and you can learn more all about Global Minga. It's basically about community coming together to help others, regardless. They don't need to be asked. It's just stepping up and stepping in. And that's truly with heartfelt peace, love, and joy, steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. That is what Global Minga is. So if you want to take part in that, again, head on over to shriandkira.com, and there's links right on the homepage there. Now, let me think. So I think that's it. All right. And to sit in I always love to do the ascended numerology for today. And I was feeling into the energy, which turned out to be a 9 for today, which is the infinite energy of the Trinity. So masculine, the divine feminine, and then that divine spark. So the combination of the masculine energy, the feminine energy, and that spark inside of you that propels you up and off your seat into inspired action. That's the infinite crystalline energy that's coming out today. And so while I was feeling into that, this is what came to me. Dance like everyone is watching, because you are in a transformation that knows you are one with the all, and therefore do not fear the gaze or scrutiny of another. So dance like everyone is watching, so they can witness the pure joy of the I am presence. Today, in the energy of the 9, you are the crystalline embodiment of divine masculine, divine feminine, and the divine spark, and capable of great manifestation. You only need to call it into you with peace, love, and joy in your heart, with steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust in your mind and your body and soul. You are ready. So that's what came into me in the energy of the 9 today. Oh, with so many things happening. A wonderful set of synchronicities led me to our next guest today. One of her people reached out to a member of the oneness community, who then reached out to me. And then I met up with her assistant, and so many beautiful synchronicities among each other. We're both named Angela, which is amazing. So, and then once I saw all these synchronicities between Angela and myself, I knew that this lady just had to come on, because the synchronicities were too great. She had something to say to this community for sure. And I can't wait to introduce you to her. Her name is Janine Thompson, and she is a speaker, a transformational coach. She is a former clinical psychotherapist, which some of us may resonate with, especially with one of our teachers, Sri Ram Kaur, also coming from that field, and a Fortune 50 executive. And she has just come out with a new book here in September called 911 From Your Soul. And I am just in awe and honor of you, Janine, and welcome to Awakenings Moments to Inspire.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be with you and your listeners.
Oh, it is. When we had our meeting here earlier this week, I was in awe even just of the synchronicities that you held with many of our own teachers and mentors within the community, particularly your background being in the business area, and then the medical field as well. Psychotherapy, and both of these areas were what our teachers had started on as well in their paths. And then something happened in their lives that led them on a completely different path. So I would love to hear all about your story and how you found yourself moving through both the business, corporate, medical world, and then into a more holistic, encompassing way of living.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
You know, it's been such a ride. It's been a great journey. I am awestruck at the utter brilliance and intelligence of life that moves to us and away from us and through us in ways we couldn't possibly set up by ourselves, in ways we possibly couldn't predict. For me, I started out as an evidence-based psychotherapist treating anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, very much steeped in science, standard operating protocols and procedures, what was proven. That was where it was for me. And our soul always knows when it's time for another level of growth, and by a series of divine synchronicities, I was led to take a Fortune 50 executive job. I began first in high potential and leadership development, then moved my way up to leading the international HR team across the world.
Wow.
And once again, and I'm sure this is true for your listeners, they're going to hear key points in the stories. When our soul is ready for growth, we're going to start to hear whispers. And that was true for me. When I was in my executive job about 9 months in, I was on vacation with my girlfriend in Mexico, and I heard myself say out loud, I can't do this forever. When the kids graduate from high school, I've got to make a change. But it was, and I knew something spoke through me because I loved my job. It was busy. I was in a plane 200,000 to 300,000 miles a year internationally, single mom, managing a lot, but I loved my team. They were amazing. I loved the mission. So I knew someday there should be a change, but it wasn't in line with my human plan. So I ignored the clue. But as life would have it, I kept waking up in the middle of the night with whispers saying, there's something more for you. And I kept feeling this restlessness, this yearning, like my life should be great, looked good from the outside, wonderful family, big job, the accoutrements of success. I had achieved success or was achieving success. And yet there was this hole and I couldn't figure it out. But I did still keep ignoring it and trying to gratitude it away, saying, just be more grateful. This will pass. And then I came back from a business trip in China one day and learned we were going to do a voluntary package for nearly all 4,000 members of our corporate employees. And I thought, well, I'm certainly not going to take this. It's ahead of my plan. And then as life unfolded, I discovered many of the team members I loved were leaving. So I decided to take the leap too.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was super excited. I'm like, yes, I get to play. It's freedom. It's joy. I haven't had this in a couple of decades. But shortly thereafter, what began to happen is I didn't realize how much my identity was wrapped up in my role as an executive. And I started to feel kind of lost. And I went on a search. And this search in the brilliance of life took me to Reiki and yoga. I became a Reiki master, certified yoga teacher. And for the first time in my life, I learned about mind, body, soul, and spirit, this holistic approach, which was the antithesis of what I had been trained as a cognitive behavioral therapist 30 years ago. Context is important. And, you know, I became obsessed with soul. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this energetic essence I really am? Who am I as a spiritual being traversing in this wonder suit of a body? You know, that was a new awareness for me. And I knew in my heart, in this magnetic inward pull, that I was meant to be a matchmaker for the soul, to help people reunite with their soul and the parts of themselves they had lost sight of, to flip the paradigm from I'm a human to I am a spiritual being traversing in this miraculous wonder suit.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal, and maybe your listeners can relate. I got scared. I was used to being a credible Fortune 50 executive. And now I was going to what? Talk about soul and business and the power of love. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's nothing in best practices about this. So I did what I think a lot of people do. When we know something we're not yet ready to know, we avoid it, we numb it, we distract it, we do something else. But anytime we live in half congruence, your soul's going to get louder. And it did for me. Things started to fall apart. My business was challenged because I wasn't living in congruency. I was doing traditional coaching, which has immense value. It just wasn't what life was asking me to stand up and own and live my truth, right? And so ultimately, I went through some dark times. Sometimes people call that the dark time, dark night of the soul, some challenges. But it was during the darkness when we actually lose ourselves that we find our true nature again. And during this time, the 7 principles of 911 from your soul were birthed. You know, it's in the darkness. It struck me along the way, Angela. Most of us fear the darkness. We feel out of control. We want to fix it. We want the answer. And it's actually in the darkness when we surrender in that growth takes place. Plants, trees, they grow in the dark, in the deep, dark soil, right? At night, our cells rejuvenate in sleep in the dark. And I had to learn how to see in the dark. So that was the journey.
Wow. Wow. Powerful and resonates so much. What comes to me is the just things falling apart, things. So you're trying, or you think you're moving forward, but you still got that fear in it. So what you're doing is you're almost pushing or pulling your way through it. You're not going with the flow.
Shoving. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I found myself doing that very thing this summer, just trying to start my own business and get it moving. And I was finding I was pushing and pulling in areas that maybe I was not quite comfortable with adopting at that time. So I returned to my own best practices, I guess, which is from the heart. Return to the things that bring you joy, that bring you peace, that bring you love. Focus on that stuff first. And then the other stuff will just naturally evolve into your tapestry as you go. You're in your flow. You've already called in the manifestation. You've already called in that which you know you are and want and need, or whatever, not even need, just that which you know you are. And you just have to stay in that flow state where you're not pushing, You're not pulling. You're just living your life with joy and heart-filled, centered living. And yeah,
listen, I love that. But here was a truth for me, and perhaps it resonates with your readers or yourself. We're not taught that. We are taught to use, we've got three brains, our gut, our heart, our head.
Yep.
Come to find out, information ascends up through the vagus channel. It's the opposite of what we've been taught. Our whole life, we've been taught, use your big head, use your big brain. Got a problem? Fix it. If you've got a lot to do, sit down, buckle in, and pull it over the line, push, push, push until it's complete. We are not taught that the greatest intelligence, this treasure trove of wisdom, of illumination of your next path that is going to serve a higher good on behalf of the world, is going to come from the heart's intelligence and the wisdom centers of your sacral, your core, and your heart. So I think for many people, it's the opposite of what science taught us. It's the opposite of what teachers or parents taught us. So when we're faced with something we don't quite feel ready for, we want to fall back on what's familiar. And the invitation, I'm a beauty of the and girl. I love light and dark. I think that life is delicious and delightful. And I think that there are going to be times of pain and suffering, because it's in the and that we remember who we are. You see, if life's always smooth, we get complacent and we move along. But in the challenging times, when our familiar solutions aren't working or are not working very well, the intelligence of soul draws you inward. Inward to soften those 70,000 thoughts a day, inward to quiet the busy brain, and to listen to the pulse of your heart, to connect with your breath. And in that stillness, all is revealed. But that's a challenge too, because most of us were taught, if you would have heard me, oh my gosh, I fought yoga, I fought Reiki, I thought that's too woo-woo, I'm too type A, I'm too busy, there's not a chance in the world I'm going to quiet this active, busy brain. But it's all a myth, it's a narrative. And the power of our stories, I can't do that, then therefore becomes. But if we actually just say, all right, I'm a little skeptical about this, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm willing to attempt to shift my energy, place a hand on heart center, a hand on your belly, because we follow touch in the body. Close my eyes, and I'm really going to feel that breath. I'm going to feel the breath move my diaphragm on the inhale and contract on the exhale. And I'm going to ride the wave of infinite intelligence and the infinite gift of life, which is through breath. And it is in that breath that the words of wisdom and the pathway is revealed. And then we get to do the and. Then we get to use our big brains and say, okay, let's go ahead and organize and put some logic and analytics around this. But let's first start with where the truth of your role, the truth of your being, the truth of your next assignment to bring more joy, love, and peace, to create an elevated humanity, that comes from the treasure trove of the heart's intelligence.
Wow. 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 That is truly the key, feeling in. When I learned that, I had always seen the body, the mind, and the spirit as almost two separate things, and almost two different Angelas that lived inside of the body.
Yes.
And even growing up, that's the way I'd seen and thought of it all. And So logical Angela would have to deal with this part. Emotional Angela would have to deal with this part. And then the physical Angela will have to deal with this part. But I never really, and they all had different stories that would go off inside of my head.
Don't they ever? Yes.
Even more fun. And then I realized that, yes, it's true. There are literally 3 brains within our body, within this suit and cosmic aura of who we are, body, mind, and spirit. And as soon as I learned that, I went, well, that makes sense. Now I know why I have the 3 Angelas going off in my head, or I hear them in myself all of the time. And as soon as I kind of realized that I could sync them up through meditation, through vagus nerve exercises, even ecstatic dance is a way of just letting your body relax so that it's not doing this all of the time. Because for me, it was getting my body. You can not train, you can know and you can feel. But when your body, I almost felt that when your body was trained for so long to react in a certain way, it just became automatic. So as much as you knew you weren't in a place where you could be having a panic attack, you're going there anyway in the beginning, because your body automatically, that's what you do when this happens. That's what your body knows.
Right. Well, the habit.
Yeah. The habit of the habit.
Yes, absolutely. And the habit data says that 40 to 90%, and watching my clients over the last 30 years, I think it's much closer to the 90%. What we do each day is repetitious. It's automatically. We show up to conversations with our friends or at a business meeting. We've already determined the outcome, and we haven't even gone to the meeting yet. We've got a story that says they're going to react like this, and this is going to happen, and da. So we've determined an outcome, and we haven't even gotten in the car, gotten on the phone or Zoom to have the meeting. So there's so much retraining and lining up, of not only our 3 brains. Our gut brain is more about that preservation that says, hey, something feels off here. You're walking down the street. This doesn't feel right, or driving in a car, it doesn't feel right. The heart brain, from a science perspective, they see that as the emotional space, the affective space. So we got the safety brain, the I feel brain, and then the I think brain.
Yeah.
And that's only part of the story.
Yeah.
Maybe the richest part of the story was when I learned that we have 3 levels of our heart. Most of us are aware of the physical level, the pump organ. And then there's another layer, subtle layer, called the emotional level. And most of us know that one too. It's like that great first love, and man, you're excited, you got the butterflies, or it's a great joy if you saw your child do something amazing at a program, or, it's this emotional dynamic in our life that makes life rich, the great highs, the lows, the beauty, the messiness. But beyond that is what the mystics refer to as the mystical heart or the cosmic heart. So we're kind of marrying the science and soul. Yeah, we got these brains and these thoughts, but then we want to kind of the Russian stacked dolls.
I think nesting dolls.
Peeling off the physical layer. I drop down to the emotion. So I realize I'm not this emotion, these label reactions emotionally. I can actually at any moment in life drop down into my spiritual heart, where there is an unwavering, ever steady sense of peace, where there is an eternal wisdom, where you are the miniature of the universe within, where all knowledge resides. And if we can practice tuning into that level of heart intelligence, your life and the lives of the people, the planets in business, the prophets all around you cannot help but change for the higher good. But most of us don't know that. And I've heard people say, oh, this heart led me astray. Like either I was so in love, this heart led me astray, or I thought this was the right answer, the heart led me astray. I just want to offer you, which level of the heart were you in?
Yeah.
Because when we're in our emotional heart is not the best barometer of the next right action. But when we drop into the mystical heart, when we just go in and we pretend we can see a chamber of answers or books or your higher self in front of you, and tune into that wisest level and your higher powers, you will not ever be led astray, because that's where ultimate truth resides.
Exactly. Wow. I can feel that particularly with my listeners, where we speak to the mirror and the mirror of others, but also the mirrors can be used at those 3 levels of heart intelligence as well. And so what on the physical level or of love is this going through? What is the emotional level? What is the higher level? And that's where the mirrors are so amazing and beautiful, because if you look through that opened heart, you see everybody at their highest, you see you at your highest, and you realize that like you were saying, the conflicts and all of that other outside things are no longer needed or required. Everything just flows freely through you. And then the joy about that too, when you're opened and your heart is engaged and you see the mirrors of the other person, you're going to end that chain of pain there. You're going to stop and say, I see you for who you are. I see me for who I am. And I am going to release the fear, the pain, forgiveness, full of sympathy, and I am just going to send you love. And for us, the mirror is our biggest lesson, and to be able to look at it even from that more minutia point, or actually, I think you've put words to how I see the mirror and the levels of the mirror coming at me when I'm looking at the physical being, when I'm looking at the emotions that they might be going through or that I might be going through, or and then the God presence of who we are at the absolute top and the crescendo. The mirror is amazing, and you have just enriched it and expanded it. Thank you so much. And I think my viewers would definitely feel into that for sure, and they would understand that. We've only got about 15 minutes left. So
yes, with our technology dance we did today, but we came on at 11:11, which was apropos and apparently meant to be. I wanted to just double back on one thing you said there that might also be helpful to your listeners. One of the things when I was learning to go into that subtle energy of the mystical heart, I was given words to see beneath their actions and listen beneath their words. When we're in the emotional level, and certainly when we're at a cognitive level, we get all hung up in the tone and the tenor of the person, maybe their physical presentation, all of that stuff that doesn't honestly matter as much. Because I think it all goes back to Marianne Williamson's quote, everything is love. We're a call to love. Everything is love. We're a call to love. So if I have somebody who's having kind of a messy moment in front of me, I invite myself to listen more deeply and say, what's the call to love beyond the words? I'm not going to get caught up in their words. Where's the pain sitting underneath the words? I'm going to listen more deeply. And only from that kind of deepest layer of subtle heart energy can we truly see the soul in front of us versus the very human presentation that's all over the place. It might be beautiful, messy, it might be gorgeous, it might be clumsy, it might be hurtful, it might be empowering. We can move beyond the human presentation to the deeper truth that each and every one of your listeners is always and only love.
Yes. 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 I have said that since I was a little girl, little girl, like
Wow.
2 years old, that
Wow.
love is the most important thing in the universe. Love is the strongest thing, and that's all there is. And I've told the story over again where, growing up, you have the adults around you saying, well, you'll learn, there are other factors in life. And I would say, no, if I love so-and-so, or if I'm doing this and I love it, then that is the strongest force in the universe. You can't tell me anything different. And try
Yeah.
as they might, they would. And for a little bit of time, I kind of fell for it. But I think on some level, I still held on to that belief system, because even though I was still playing the game out there in the business world, and I used to be a law clerk and whatnot. So I've done both that neck of the woods too. It didn't, I did because I felt I had to. And it sapped my soul to the point that I became very, very ill. And so once I learned how to embrace my own love for myself, and really go into that heart space and acknowledge, and we have a practice for that too, is don't push your emotions aside,
Oh,
acknowledge them,
bring them
embrace
close,
them.
I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love them. What are they trying to show you? Because that's what they're there for. They're trying
Yeah.
to tell you something.
Yeah.
And if you acknowledge them in that moment, whether it be fear, you can say, well, there's nothing to be afraid of. Or if it's anger, like, why am I angry? Or what? So it allows, not allows, I think it gives people, yeah, almost like we have permission to have our own feelings and emotions at times. I
Yeah.
think
And it
people are
also,
afraid to have them.
we're
And
afraid to have them, but we also get confused that we are them. And so
yes,
that's why we want to fight them, because sometimes we're afraid they're so strong if we start, yelling or crying, that we may never stop. But we
yeah,
must always remember that the you, as your true nature, aren't the emotions. You can welcome them, you can dance with them, you can ask them if they need to get a little stronger before that they move through your body, knowing that you in your eternal nature are always stronger than the pain. Now, that doesn't mean we might not want to be accompanied. We might want to work with a therapist or a coach, or have our hands held by our best friends. But it's really important to recognize that real nuanced balance between our divine nature and our human nature, and how we walk the beauty of the and of those two every single day.
yeah. Ah, amazing. So for many of our listeners, this is a slight shift in topic, but if you were to have any advice to anybody who was stepping forward like you did from one section of life after you felt the calling of your soul, but then you felt that sense of fear that I can't step forward. There's so
Mhm.
many out there that want to take that leap forward and to come out of the spiritual closet, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
And but they're afraid to.
Mhm.
Do you have any advice or techniques that some of these the listeners can use to maybe help them step, we like to say the lion coming out of the woods, to help them come out of the woods?
Yeah. Well, my first piece of advice is we got to flip the paradigm. Most of us go out, we're going to search on the internet. We're going to get that method that's going to help us do this transition. And I'd love to invite you to every day be with your inner net,
Mm,
that treasure trove of wisdom, right?
mhm.
So we want to switch. We're often doing supplements and exercise, again, external
Yeah.
stuff we're doing for us, which is brilliant.
Mhm.
But let's start flipping the paradigm and make a commitment every day to just be in silence and stillness. And if it's a foreign practice, 30 seconds, anybody can do 30 seconds to 2 minutes as you begin.
Yeah.
Let's open up the canvas. If you live out somewhere where you can be in nature, nature connects you to the expansive truth of who you are. Every time you're in the sky, you remember that you too are that endless capability, or the sun shines on you. You too actually are this light energy capable of anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's important every day to reconnect inward and listen, and just simply say, I'm listening. What do you got for me? I think I want to go explore da 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 da. Give me some solid clues. I always used to say, you who make them loud so I don't miss them. Help me out here. But I'd love for them every day to tune inward, because you know what? At the end of the day, we're all longing to meet our true self again. This world has taken us out. Go out to the expert, go out, listen to media, go out for the definition of who you are. And my invitation is come inward. I call it soul, my eternal essence, who I believe that I am. You might call it entelechy. It's the entelechy of a caterpillar to become a butterfly, acorn seed to become an oak tree. You have your own entelechy. Ask, say, what is it? Help me take the next right step. And then throughout your day, I want you to notice how life speaks to you. Is there a quote that catches your mind, that there's a clue? Is there a song that has a line that you're like, that's it? Is there an image in a magazine? Is there a conversation you overheard? Like, life sends you literally hundreds or thousands of love notes a day saying, we've got you. Open your eyes, tune in. So that's part of the practice. And I've got many practices in the books. This is kind of a foundational book. So they're back to the basics to teach us to first go inward and then supplement that with our outward strategies.
Amazing. A lot of this is going to resonate with a lot of my listeners, which is self-ascension. So it's all about listening to your own inner guidance to help you ascend, or to help you follow your soul's mission, to help you lift in consciousness, to help you shift your perspectives out of the fear, the pain, into the peace, love, and joy. It's self-ascension.
So similar, right?
Yep.
And I think, like, I present an earth view of that. Like, we have 7 key principles. What's the earth view of mine? Our earth view of mine is we get stuck in the fear. I'm not enough. What if I fail? I should stay here. Da 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 da. Our soul view says, you've got this all day long. Here's the unlimited canvas. But then we got to figure out how to traverse an earth school, this gig of learning. We've got to figure out, how do we integrate, lead as our soul, but we got to learn how to manage all these earth view paradigms, myths, narratives we've been sold since birth. So I think it's a very practical way of saying, yeah, we want to reunite with the consciousness that we are and live our highest possibility for the betterment of the whole. And to me, 911 from your soul is your blueprint to say, here you go. Let's remember the truth of who you are, and let's help you live that every single day.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you, Janine, for coming in. We're almost out of time. But just in closing, if any of you out there have heard this woman and resonated all with her, please, please pick up her book, 911. I say 911 because that's part of my son's telephone number.
Yeah.
911 from the soul. And I want to have you on again, Janine, and maybe again in a little bit more. Just you're just a delight. Everything you have said here in this hour is totally resonates with me. I know it will resonate with many of my listeners as well. I just can't get enough of you.
Oh,
You're amazing.
you.
And everything you say comes right from the soul and authentic. And because of your unique set of life skills has placed you at such a precipice where you can go out and challenge and inspire so many people out there.
And
It's
here's
amazing.
the good news for all of your listeners. I couldn't have done that. No career coach would have said, hey, you evidence-based science psychotherapist, Fortune 50 exec, never took a business class. Then you're going to go become a Reiki master, spiritual teacher, yoga. Nobody would have done that. I wouldn't have done that. But you can take your hands off the steering wheel, tune in, ask, align, listen. The intelligence of life has a golden thread that will weave you to exactly who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to be, contributing in this beautiful mosaic. You cannot get it wrong. My bet's on all of us all day long. And I love, we've got this. So that's the good news. I think sometimes we feel so bad because we want to make the right decision. We want to do it right.
Yes.
It will always be right. It'll always serve a purpose. You'll be guided. You got this.
Yeah. Self-Ascension has led me to that very conclusion myself. So you have got this. I really, truly believe that out there. If you lead from your heart, lead from your soul, and let your ego sit in the back seat, like we say quite often, give the ego a juice box and some car toys and let them go to town. Let the soul lead for a little while because it has the map and it knows how to drive and it knows the way. So that's just let your soul guide because it truly, truly knows the way. Thank you so much, Janine, for being on. This has been an amazing time. I really would like to have you on though, so we can have you for the full hour.
I would love that. We can dive in a little
more deeply into all of the various aspects of, I'd love to hear like all of the nuances about your book. I would even just love to hear about how the business world took to you and coming out and
you're
hearing
hungry for it. Many are hungry, and maybe some might in a closet fashion for some, and some in a more overt fashion. But I tell you what, right now, we are all on this great search. And that isn't just in our personal hours at home or in certain roles. All of us are being invited right now to understand who we are and to make the most of this precious, gifted gig that we chose to be on.
Truly amazing. For everyone out there at Oneness Talk Radio, we are wishing you an absolutely fabulous Thursday, a beautiful weekend, and I can't wait to be with you again next week. It'll be the day after solstice, so we'll be in celebration mode, full swing at that point, and we will join you again next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at Oneness Talk Radio. Have an absolutely fabulous day, everyone. You have got this. Namaste.
Much